Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sebbies channel, home of the Sebbies. So in today's video, I will be bringing to you what I am calling Dreadlock Maintenance CliffsNotes. These are things that I think every locker, whether they're a beginner or a veteran, should know. Things that they should know, things that they should have in their arsenal to pull out and use at any given moment in their lock journey. Let's get to it. Alright, so yes, there are 10 things that I think that every locker should know, and let's just dive right in. Number 1, got buildup. First of all, I would say you need to figure out what is the cause of this buildup. Is it from a gel or a wax that you're using to retwist? Maybe you should use a little bit less. Maybe you're kind of heavy-handed or finger-handed, finger-heavy-handed, or finger-heavy. Maybe that would help the issue. Or, and this one I'll admit, this is a little counterintuitive, but is it coming from the shampoo or the conditioner? You know, when you think of shampoo, you think, okay, I'm washing out buildup, right? But guess what? If you're not rinsing out the shampoo and the conditioner thoroughly, then it's going to become part of the problem. It's going to become buildup itself. So I would say to make sure you're washing out shampoo and conditioner thoroughly. You might want to look for residue-free shampoos. You might want to dilute the shampoo that you're using if you really like it. There are many things that you can do to kind of prevent this problem. But let's say you do have buildup. Something that you can use is an ACV rinse, okay? The apple cider vinegar rinse. What this will do is it will loosen up the buildup that's on the inside of your locks, and it will lift it to the surface. I don't know if you saw Lex Lanson's video when he had a buildup issue. So he did an ACV rinse, and then he showed us his locks, and they were pretty much like white.
The other day I decided to do an ACV rinse. I felt like it was long overdue, so I went ahead and did it. The first time I did it, the water was so murky that I had to rinse it again immediately after. The water was still very murky, however, you know, I paid it no attention. I hopped in the shower to rinse whatever was remaining out of my hair. And you know, I gotta be honest, when I was done the shower and I rang my hair up, I would squeeze it, and this like white, nasty, disgusting stuff was oozing out of the locks. So I think it's product buildup. I'm pretty sure it's product buildup. I think it's the wax. I've been using Jamaican mango and lime locking wax, and I think it's that. So I think I'm gonna stop using it because, I don't know, it was kind of terrifying. Yeah, YouTube. I literally came out of the shower. I did the ACV rinse, and like, I got a serious dread problem, man. It's nasty. This looks like buildup, man. It has to be buildup. But I've done 3 ACVs. I showered 3 times and I can't seem to get this shit out. I think this is like a state of emergency right here. So I don't know what to do, man. The ACV rinse doesn't seem to be getting it all out. It seems to be like lifting it out of my locks. But as far as removing the leftover product entirely, it's definitely not doing that.
What that was is the buildup had broken up internally and it lifted to the surface. And so it's very important that you always shampoo your hair after an ACV rinse. And you also, you know, if you use conditioner, you could do that after the shampoo, but you definitely need to wash off the buildup that's now on the surface of the locks after you do an ACV rinse, okay? So once again, to recap, figure out what the source is, make some changes so that you don't get built up again in the future, and then do an ACV rinse and follow that up with a shampoo. Number 2, we really need to get moving because this is going to be a long video if I keep talking like that. Locks are dry. Well, you can moisturize, and this credit goes to Yannie the Locologist. You can moisturize with half rose water, half vitamin E oil. Make sure you use hair grade. Regular vitamin E oil is very viscous, it's very thick, like molasses. So make sure you use hair grade vitamin E oil. And something that I discovered with my own research recently is that vitamin E oil can be substituted with sweet almond oil because sweet almond oil has vitamin E oil naturally in it. So you can use half vitamin E oil, half rose water, or half rose water, half sweet almond oil. Number 3, locks are clammy. Well, if your locks are clammy, that means that you're over moisturizing. So this is a simple fix. Just don't moisturize as often. Say you're on a routine and you moisturize your locks twice a week during the winter time, but then you're still moisturizing twice a week through the spring, twice a week during the summer. Say where you live, it's super humid and the temperature is like in the high 90s. Well, did it ever occur to you that maybe you don't need to moisturize twice a week anymore? Okay, so you need to be flexible. And I would say the best thing that you can do is just listen to your locks. Pay attention to your locks. They will tell you what they need, okay? They'll let you know, hey bro, hey sis, you know, a lock needs some moisture over here. But if you just stay on the routine because that's what you do without taking into account other factors like location, like where you live or the season or things like that, then you can find yourself in precarious positions like the one where your locks are clammy, okay? There was this one Yannie the Locologist video where this woman was using products over the years and it was like her hair was like ropes because of all the stuff that she had put in it over the years that wasn't coming out, and it was just crazy.
Her hair, I'm sorry if I sound a little bit exasperated, her hair literally feels like glue, and she said it all, so I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not that type or condescending, right? Because I spoke to her first before I started this video, so she's very comfortable with this, and I thank her for even allowing me to tape this. And I know a lot of you are asking, what did she put in her hair? Basically, it was black gel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Queen. It was black gel. She was using, I'm sorry, I have to call, usually I don't call products for ethical reasons. I'm going to call the products that's what's being used this time. She was using black gel. She was using Shea Moisture products, leave-in conditioners, everything under the sun she was using.
Amazingly, Yannie and her mother were able to get her locks thoroughly cleansed, and they got it all out, and her hair was beautiful afterwards. But yeah, you don't want it to go that far, right? So yeah, don't over moisturize. Listen to your locks. Let them tell you the regularity with which you should be moisturizing. Number 4, locks have a mildew smell. Well, guess what? If your locks smell like mildew, then that means that they are not completely dry. Before they can completely and thoroughly dry, you're wetting them again. You're doing too much, okay? So let your locks thoroughly dry, and that will eliminate the mildew smell. Wash your locks and then let them thoroughly dry before you get them wet again. Also, the longer your hair gets, usually it takes longer for your locks to dry, okay? So keep that in mind. And know that it could also depend on, once again, where you live, the location, how much humidity is in the air, the season. Okay, so factor those things in, and don't just think that if your locks feel dry on the surface that they're dry on the inside. Locks consist of matted hair. There are a lot of layers, right, to get to the center. So your locks could still be damp at the very least internally, even if they feel dry to the touch externally. So be mindful of that as well. Number 5, locks are thinning. Well, you need to figure out why. Are your locks thinning because you're retwisting or interlocking or whatever method you use? Are you doing it too frequently and too tightly? Or are your locks thinning because your hair grows away from your locks and you're not gathering that new growth and putting it back into the lock often enough? that's what was happening to me, as most of you probably know well by now, okay? So once you figure out why the locks are thinning, then that will inform your decision on how to proceed next. If your locks are thinning due to over manipulation, meaning retwisting or interlocking too frequently and too often, then I would say stop with the over manipulation. Just stop doing everything. A lot of times, if you haven't done that very bad behavior for too long, you can reverse the damage, which of course ultimately leads to traction alopecia, right? But if you stop pulling on your locks, and if you stop twisting them, and if you stop being mean basically to your follicles, then the body is pretty resilient. The hair, the follicles, the scalp, it can be pretty resilient as well. So be nice to all of that, and it will be nice to you, and your hair will start to grow back. If your locks are thinning because your hair grows away from your locks, well, something that I do now is I braid the new growth into the lock. I have a video on that, you can check that out. And basically it keeps the hair in place for an indefinite period of time, okay? It is a lifesaver, I love it. So you can use the braid technique on dreadlocks. Number 6, got lint? Well, if you're like me, you inspect your locks quite often for lint. And whenever I do find lint, it is on the surface of my locks. So at that point, I just use a pair of tweezers to very easily pull the lint off of the surface of my locks. Now, if your lint is embedded in your locks, then you have to be careful, because if you're digging around in there with these fine point utensils, then it can compromise the structure of your locks. So I would say that you should inspect your locks, you know, with some good frequency to look for lint, right? Because you don't want it to get too embedded. I know some people say that you can just dye your locks. To me, that's a band-aid. I mean, you're not removing the lint, you're just dyeing the lint a different color, but it's still there. So I don't agree with that. I'm more of a preventative measure type of guy. You know, I am mindful about the things that I wear. I'm not wearing these like fuzzy, hairy articles of clothing. I mean, granted, I'm a dude, so that's probably easier for me to do than it is for the ladies, but you know, you can still be mindful. Even with the Tams, I'm always wearing a Tam, but guess what? I have a satin bonnet under the Tam. And so that also, as long as the satin bonnet doesn't have lint inside it, that's also a great preventative measure that can be used to avoid lint as well. So if the lint is on the surface of your locks, you can use a pair of tweezers or something like that to remove it. Inspect your locks often enough so that you catch it before it does get embedded. And then just be mindful of the articles of clothing that your locks come in contact with. Number 7, locks are breaking off during the night. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen where people are like, yeah, I found a lock this morning on my pillow. Well, there's a simple fix to this. Wear a satin bonnet, or wear a dread sock, or wear a similar head garment, okay? This will reduce friction and it will reduce dryness. 2 things which lead to locks breaking off. Number 8, and this one is kind of for the newbies. Your locks are in your face. Well, you can get one of those very loose fitting headbands and just put it back like that to hold your locks back out of your face. And just make sure it's loose. You don't want to have too much tension up here on your hairline, okay? Number 9, you want to change the color. I would say to try to avoid bleaching. You know, bleaching where you have to bleach your hair to like blonde to achieve these other vivid, vibrant colors, right? I would say to try to avoid bleaching. Albeit, dyeing your hair does some structural damage to the locks. It's nowhere near as intense as bleaching. So I would say, you know, maybe dye your hair if you can versus bleaching it. Or if you're gonna lift the color, only lift a few shades, you know, maybe to like an auburn or a brown or something if you have like black hair, you know, the box dye. But try to avoid bleaching it because it really wreaks havoc on your locks. I've seen countless videos of people talking about the bleached parts of their locks falling off, or them having to cut it because they were falling off. It almost seems to be inevitable. So just be mindful that if you do bleach your locks, there's a good chance that might happen. Also, if you do bleach your locks, because I know people are going to do what they do, you know, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I just want you to be aware. if you do bleach your locks, make sure you keep that bleached section of your lock moisturized, okay? It's going to be more prone to dryness and to brittleness once it's bleached, okay? So make sure you keep that moisturized, and who knows, they may not break off. And number 10, got locks? Well, if you're watching this video, you probably have locks, and the advice for having locks is don't obsess over them. Yes, you need to do what you need to do to take care of them, but after that, live your life. Don't focus all of your attention, time, energy, love, everything on your locks, because the time will pass by so slowly. I promise you, if you take care of your locks and then continue living life, the time will pass, or will seem to pass, by so much more quickly. I promise you that. I promise you that. So that is my advice to you. I hope you have enjoyed my 10 points under dreadlock maintenance cliffs notes. I think these are things that every locker should know. Young, old, new, vet, whatever. Doesn't matter the race. I think these are just all good tips for lockers to have in their arsenal to pull out at any given point in time along their lock journey. As always, please learn to love unconditionally, because loving with conditions are hard to not really love at all. Sebbies is out.